So Creality gave me the inside scoop on their upcoming KliTek technology and their K3 printers that are going to be featuring this technology. So today we're going to answer what is KliTek, what does it mean for future 3D printers, and answer some of the questions that I've seen people asking online about this new technology. So first off, what is KliTek? They say it's a word made from the sound of it docking and undocking the nozzles. It makes a little KliTek type sound, and so they turned that into a word. That's where KliTek came from. It is going to be more of a nozzle changing printer instead of a previous, we've seen tool changing printers. I think it's really interesting that every brand that's made a tool changing, nozzle changing type printer has done it in a different way. I thought we'd see a bunch of clones after the Snapmaker U1 initially came out, where it changes a full tool head. So each changing part has a separate motor, gears, hot end, fan, and then there's really only the carriage that does the part cooling fan on it. So it's a really lightweight carriage, but 4 pretty robust tool heads. Next up was the Creator 5 from FlashForge, and it puts the motor in the moving carriage, but the gears to that motor, the gears that are actually pushing filament, are in the changing tool head parts. So this part here has the gears, the motor is here and drives it through this moving drive shaft. And now the KliTek K3s are going to come out. You're really only changing the nozzle and hot end assembly here, so there is still a hot end. The power comes in through USB-C up top, and it will be able to preheat your nozzles to make those really fast tool changes. And then the next in the lineup will be the Bondtech Index. Hopefully that will be coming soon, where that only changes out the nozzle. But there's no power run to that nozzle, so it can't preheat until it's attached to the tool head. So that's 4 different printers all doing it in slightly different ways. And I think that's really interesting. Every brand has taken it in a different way. And the big spec here is that it only takes 5 seconds for the color change. So for docking one, grabbing the next one, starting printing, it's only 5 seconds. That's super impressive. I'm really excited to get this in person. The next spec they claim is 15 seconds for material change. I do think that's if they've cut the material and it's a new material, it needs to purge all the way from that cut point down to the new nozzle. So it will have to purge a lot more on the prime tower. I think that's where that 15 seconds comes from. I do think this is one of the best images here to be able to explain what is in this nozzle changing part here. So there's a locking USB-C plug up top for power. The filament will come in through a PTFE tube up here. This will be a filament runout detector, and I think it signals to the carriage here. If the filament isn't in there, then this will swing in as a little lever mechanism. Here we've got exposed filament, so it will just fully be exposed there. And then there are gears on the carriage that will open up and close down around that filament and then push it through the hot end. It then releases when it changes hot ends. Super cool, super simple. Right down below it here is where the filament cutting is going to be happening. So there is a filament cutter in the carriage here, and it will cut the filament right through here, so that for retracting and changing filaments and materials, it can just cut it off automatically. That's something we don't have in other printers. With the Snapmaker U1, it's got to do tip forming to retract the filament, so it's a bit slower to change filaments. And the FlashForge, you have to manually reach in there and press the lever down to cut off the filament. So this will be able to automatically do that for changing filaments to the same nozzle. And then down farther on the hot end, we've got the heat sink for the hot end, and then the whole heater nozzle combo down at the bottom. 2 screws will be able to replace the entire hot end assembly, and I think the nozzle will be replaceable. They are going to call it a unicorn nozzle, but it's not the same unicorn nozzle that we've had on previous Creality printers. So it's another version of the unicorn nozzle. They mentioned the maintenance costs down here. I think the entire hot end assembly here will be only around $14, so that you could keep separate ones of these for different nozzle sizes or whatever other reason you wanted more than them. And that way, instead of going in there and doing a slow nozzle change process, you could just pop it out with the USB-C plug up top, pull out the PTFE tube, pop in a new one, and now you're at 0.2 millimeters, 0.8 millimeters, whatever different nozzle sizes you wanted. That's super quick and easy, and they're cheap enough to keep a few around. And one big feature they told me about is the ability to use different nozzle sizes on the same print. So this is going to be a slicer side thing that they've been able to figure out. Other tool changing printer brands have told me they would love to be able to do multi-nozzle size printing, but the math is just really hard in the slicer to get it to do that. Well, now Creality says their K3s are going to be able to use multiple nozzle sizes on the same print. So you could use something large like a 0.6 or 0.8 millimeter for the low detail infill, but then switch to a 0.4 millimeter nozzle to get really high detail on the outer wall layers of a print. That's something super cool and really will speed up prints with this machine. Their other big area of focus with this machine is TPU printing. This could easily become the best TPU printing machine. So they do have a bunch of little technologies all working together to really improve it. They say 7 times faster TPU printing. And it's true on most other printers. If you look up their TPU print profiles, they use about 2 to 3 cubic millimeters per second. This one, they say it's going to be 15 cubic millimeters per second for 95A TPU. One big advancement they are using, they're calling it the S-drive feeding system. Basically, it's going to both push and pull the TPU through the Bowden tube. This kind of keeps it bunched up and coiled inside of that Bowden tube, so there's less friction. It's a bunch of small points of friction. Instead of if you were just pulling from one end, it'll slide along the entire thing and cause just a lot of friction in there. It sounds like a complex way of saying, yeah, if you push and pull, it's better than just pulling, which sounds awesome. They say the slicer is also optimized to make TPU even better, and their step servo high flow nozzles are working together to just get a good flow rate with this softer materials. And they say it can print all the way down to 80A TPU. Most printers struggle with 90A TPU, so this will be a huge step forward, and also unlocking multiple materials with TPU printing. Shoes are a classic example of using different stiffnesses of materials to make a great object here. So if you could use hard PLA as the support material here, a tough 95A for the outsole, 90 for the middle, and 85 or 80A TPU as the part that actually touches your foot would be really soft and squishy. But there's a bunch of other situations out there where adding a little bit of TPU on the surface interface layer, on the bottom of things that are going to be touching the desk, being able to mix hard and soft materials together makes some really complex and amazing objects. So I'm really excited to be able to really use some good TPU on this machine. An interesting question with all of these printers is how do you calibrate nozzle offset? The Snapmaker U1 uses a small disc under the print surface that it bounces the nozzle around on all of the surfaces in there, and it calculates exactly where that nozzle is aligned. They say with the K3, it's going to use an induction sensor. It grabs the tool head, pulls it over top of this induction sensor, and that way it is able to calibrate exactly where that nozzle is in an XY plane. And they say they're using 37 sensors, including 12 dedicated to the tool changing process. That's a lot of sensors to know exactly where every part is in this big moving process. That's awesome. More sensors means more information for you when something goes wrong. If something gets slightly misaligned, it can say, hey, there's an error, and this is exactly where that error is. Here's exactly how to fix it. When the print carriage goes to pick up the nozzle, there's 2 aligning pins that line it up, and then 1 moving pin, which locks the nozzle in place to get it ready for printing. So I also got a bit of an inside scoop on the upcoming K3 printers where we're going to be seeing this KliTek technology. The first printer that's going to be released is the base K3. So they're starting with the smallest and cheapest option first. It will be a 260mm cubed build volume using 4 different nozzles. And they hinted that in the future there will be larger K3 models with more tool heads, but nothing specific beyond that. The maximum nozzle temperature on the K3 will be 300 Celsius, and that base K3 isn't going to come with a chamber heater to try to keep that price point nice and low. But the release date will be sometime in Q3 of 2026. So unfortunately, one of the biggest questions I saw people asking online is whether this will be a retrofit upgrade path for the previous K2 printers, and unfortunately they say this is not going to be an upgrade. It is just going to be a new lineup of printers. They explained to me that it's more than just adding a few more nozzles. It really is a full ecosystem architecture upgrade with big advancements in the mechanical design, motion control, sensor systems, electronics architecture, and software algorithms. They said multiple nozzles must work together as a coordinated team rather than operating independently, and achieving reliable nozzle switching coordination and micron level calibration requires entirely new control logic and extensive sensor support. To make this possible, KliTek incorporates a significantly enhanced sensing and control system designed specifically for multiple nozzle operation. So it's an entirely new system, and every single part of the K2 would need to be swapped out, which makes it so it's not just an upgrade path, it is a fully new system. so the KliTek will not be coming to the K2. So hopefully this has made you excited for the upcoming K3. I really hope Creality can pull this off. It is really interesting how each brand takes a different technology path forward, and this seems like a really great option with a lot of benefits. Hopefully it can come in at a great price point and in a great printer. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the K3 review whenever those ship out. And be sure to post any more questions you have in the comments down below. I'd love to help you out, and maybe I can get some answers directly from Creality. But as always, go out there, create something amazing today, and I'll see you in the next video.